John Kelley, how's it going?
Good. Troy Barons, what's up?
Oh, not a whole lot, man.
This is pretty cool. Congratulations on this, man. This is exciting.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's something that I feel is a work in progress, definitely still. But I feel that it's on its way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's on its way. Sorry, I'm just making a little adjustment on my mic. So, yeah, this is it. I don't really even have an official name for this podcast yet.
Oh, okay. So it's not even launched yet. You haven't even
not really
produced it out yet.
Yeah, I did one with Kelly Maves.
Uh-huh.
And it everything was great except for like one thing. I don't know if it was my cameras or something didn't work out.
Oh, okay.
And there was a weird buzz in the audio issue that I didn't realize until afterwards.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, so you know how that goes.
Yeah. Well, This is a trial and error. It's like this weekend I was in Mobile, Alabama for my dance competition. Mm-hmm. And, they hadn't broke out any of the equipment and the computers and laptops since our nationals last summer. And, the IT guy made some edits on some different things, and we were inputting scores on one computer, and then I check them on another one and print out my reports to do awards and everything, and it wasn't, like, copying through. And so it was a nightmare. I had to handwrite everything, like, back to old school, which was crazy, and it's super stressful to go back to old school once you've been doing it one way, and then go back to old school handwritten down. And I'm like, I hope I don't forget anything. And so eventually we ended up contacting the IT guy, and he was able to jump on the computer and, fix everything for our next award ceremony. But yeah, it was, one of those things, like, we had no idea. And, you think you check everything, but you can't really do a full run through of everything unless you have a full event kind of deal.
Yeah, especially when, like you just said, season's over, so you have everything packed away.
Yep.
And then you think you can just roll out like you did last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Without fail.
Yeah.
Without fail.
So it's good because it was a smaller city, and we're able to kind of work out a lot of the kinks and bugs, and it wasn't a full blown huge city where we're there for 4 days or whatnot, so it was nice.
Yeah.
Nice to have that,
small little test
city. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. I guess so. Explain to me exactly what that is that you're doing then with the dance competitions.
Yeah. I'll kind of, go in history, kind of tell you about how I got into.
Yeah.
So I grew up dancing here in Grand Junction. I danced at, it seems like every studio out there had little something where, I wanted to get better at, like, say, tap dancing or ballet or something. So I danced at, like, every studio, including back then we used to call it Mesa State College. Right. And now it's called Colorado Mesa University. Yep. So I used to do dance there and theater for Mesa State, and just kind of kept going. And when I graduated, I toured and up with people for a year. And then when I came back, I went to Greeley. My now wife was going to school out in Greeley, and my brother was going to school out there. So I lived with my brother, and then started getting onto the dance competition circuit. I was with a company out of Greeley, and we went to several competitions. And then I got to talking with the guys, like, and they're like, why don't you come join us and, come start announcing numbers and doing awards. And I'm like, that sounds really cool. I'd love to travel. I was 18 and I was like, yeah, this is great. Yeah. I just traveled all over the country and up with people. I love flying. I love traveling, going to different places. And, I think it just kind of evolved. And I've been doing dance competitions, since 98. And I've been with this competition. So the competition I'm with now is called Stage 1. Mm-hmm. I've been with them for, my daughter is 18, so 17 years. Oh, wow. So I've been with them for about 17 years. And, it's a great side hustle. It's a great gig. It keeps me in the dance world.
Right.
And it
keeps you doing something you like.
Cool thing is being able to be a positive influence in kids' life around the country. If I can, have an impression on, kids out in the country, and they can, their lives are better because, they came to our competition. It's a friendly competition. They make friends there. They, come away and with great attitudes and know that, they did their best. And, we help them maybe move them to the next level in the dance career. It's awesome. It's a great feeling. It's just, I'm passionate about it. I love being with, those people and, the dancers, and the energy that, that provides is just awesome.
So kind of set that visually for everybody as far as style of dancing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
when I hear dance competition, I immediately first think of like a palms competition, right? Where they're like tumbling across the floor and throwing each other up in the air and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. And a lot of people reference it to the Dance Moms. Like, Dance Moms was pretty big several years ago. And a lot of people, whenever I say dance competition, it's like Dance Moms. And it is far from what you see on television in Dance Moms. Maybe some of the the cheer competitions that you see, like cheer is a big thing on Netflix right now. It's far from what you see that so basically what I do is I roll into a city like Mobile, and I help set up the stage from the very beginning. Sometimes we'll go into a convention center where we'll have to build a stage. So we I do all of that, and then once we start the competition, we see kids from 5 years old all the way through adults.
Oh, wow.
And so they're from dance studios in that local region area, and they'll come and compete against others in that same style, same age bracket, and then we have different levels. So we have 3 different levels, and so if someone's coming in as what we call a shooting star, which is your medium level, there's some expectation on you're in the studio X amount of hours, which kind of would qualify them to be in the medium level. A lot of that's up to the teacher's discretion, and but they'll compete against others in that same competition level and age bracket. So we kind of break it down, and then we do some overall awards, who won overall in the shooting stars for petite solos type of thing. You know what I mean? So it's fun. And we give, cash awards out to our merchandise store that we have there. We have some scholarships that we do hand out to like conventions. So it's cool. There's a lot that we give back to the dancers. They don't just get a trophy and a pin,
Right.
So I remember when I was out on my own, my mom gave me a huge chest of all the trophies that I had won dancing. And I was like, well, what am I going to do with this?
Right.
Like, I mean, she was funny because she broke them all down and like unbolted every single one and kind of laid them really nice and neat in this big chest. And I'm like, I'm never going to put these back together. I don't know what,
Yeah. It is interesting, right? Like you earn all of these awards and things, and I mean, I guess once you have kids, maybe it'd be something cool to show them and inspire them for. But I mean, other than that,
or if if I were to have ever owned a dance studio, that might have been cool to just kind of put on display in a dance studio or something like that.
Because that's kind of like your credentials.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So, but that's kind of how the dance circuit goes. It's I fly in typically on a Friday. Nowadays I'm gonna fly in Thursday nights and I'll leave Monday morning. So
whoa,
yeah, it's good. I'm super blessed with the occupation I do right now, that I can do work remotely while I'm traveling and get my stuff done. And so it allows me to do what I'd love to do. I love my job here, but I also love the dance industry and love to stay in that industry for as long as I can.
That's cool. So as far as styles of dance and stuff, like hip hop, like mostly hip hop, or does it get into? Okay.
We'll go from ballet, modern, folk, Irish, clogging, tap dancing,
Holy
jazz,
smokes.
contemporary, hip hop, And yeah, so that's pretty much your general characters. And then we have acrobatic dance as well. So there's just different styles. Now, your most common ones are going to be jazz, hip hop, and ballet, tap, and clogging. Those are going to be your big ones.
Yeah.
But we have those offshoots. We have song
Like
and dance too.
interpretive?
No, we don't have interpretive. We'd probably put that in more of a modern kind of deal,
okay.
but we do have like a song and dance, so someone can come up on stage and do kind of like a Broadway song and sing and do a little dance with it too. So
Wow, that is cool, actually.
yeah, it's fun. It gives them an outlet to perfect their craft and to work on their craft and that kind of thing, which is fun.
So they're singing and dancing.
They could be, yeah, totally.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So how does that work? How do you mic them up for that? Just like with
you give them a handheld mic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and they typically, some of them will come with an over-the-ear mic, and that will just plug into our system. But we have a handheld mic, and everyone's usually pretty good with that. We'll have a mic stand, and so then when they go to do their dancing, they'll just put the mic on the stand and then go dance and then come back.
Okay. So
or they'll set the microphone down wherever they are and then come back to it.
Okay. Because I guess I envisioned some sort of like musical theater thing where they're in the middle of a song and they're kind of dancing, and then, but I was like, how do they just hang on to the mic the whole time?
It's however the choreography kind of choreographs it.
Right.
You'd be really, really surprised. You're talking about music theater. We come from a music theater background. We both do.
Yeah.
And going to all these cities. Some of the dances, like we'll do like big, like what we call lines or productions. And that's, anywhere from like 50 dancers to 110 dancers on the stage. And a lot of times these people will bring their own like props. We call them props. And it's more of a set, which is really cool. They have these, what we call prop dads or moms.
Right.
And they'll, we give them a time frame. Like usually it's like 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to set up a prop. If you go over that, you're going to get deducted. But like in truth, we never deduct. So,
and I'm sure everybody goes over.
Everybody does go over.
Always.
Like, so we have a couple cities that are really, really known for their props. They'll come with like 2-3 trailers full of all their props for every single dance.
Holy
Like some of them,
smokes.
like the choreographers will have props for their soloists. And so the soloist will, maybe have like a little ramp that goes up or, like a telephone pole for like a singing in the rain or something like that,
Yeah.
So it's really impressive how creative some people get with their props. We actually had a gal this weekend. It was kind of like a tripod, but it had 4 legs on it, and it went all the way up to almost the top of the proscenium where you can see, and it had a scarf on it. So the dancers would dance and they would come do themselves, roll up on the scarves and kind of do some aerial stuff on the scarves and then kind of roll down. And it was actually really, really cool. And like, it was fascinating, the engineering that kind of went behind, making that structure that, you can actually support that weight.
Yeah, it has to be really structurally sound.
Yeah. So there's some like super creative dads out there that are like, oh yeah, I want to build this really cool, We've had pirate ships and like all kinds of really, really cool sets. It's fun.
Do the sets go into kind of an effort, what's the best way to say this? An effort to better their score?
It just enhances the overall production. Yeah.
I would think that would emotionally would always draw you though.
Yeah.
Like,
It's interesting. In the dance world, we kind of have some unspoken things we talk about, and I'm just kind of letting you in on some of the secrets. So don't tell anyone. All those that are listening, top secret knowledge right here. You didn't hear it from me though.
Right.
It really does a disservice when you bring a huge set on, or you bring like even, any kind of a prop on, and you use it for maybe an 8 count, and then you have like 3 minutes where you don't even use the prop. And so we all think like, what was the point?
Sure.
If the prop or the set is not involved that much, why did you go through the effort to make this whole set? It didn't enhance it. You used it for, very little, and then it almost distracts sometimes.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, we like to see when you bring a set on, when you bring a prop on, use it.
Yeah.
Don't just use it for a second or two, but use it throughout, like make it part of the dance.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Wow. Yeah. All right, all you dance crews out there.
That's right.
All the millions of people that are going to watch this. Do me a favor and bring that mic just a little closer to you, too, if you don't mind.
Okay, sure. Got it. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Great.
Gosh, that would be really fun. I bet it's super fun.
It is.
To watch that. And I'm assuming that you see groups, the same groups, maybe once a year.
Yep.
And so
Absolutely.
maybe you see them grow, maybe,
Yes.
you know, and
when we do our nationals, so we do 2 nationals. So in order to come to our nationals, you have to qualify at our regionals. So anyone who qualifies with a certain point scale qualifies to go to nationals. And if you didn't come to our regionals before our nationals, we have what we call pre-regionals or pre-national, where you can qualify at our nationals to be in the nationals. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So yeah, it's really, really cool to see them take because we have 3 judges at the competition. And it's all video critique too. So they're watching the dance, but when they're talking and giving critiques and notes, it's all caught on video. So the teacher can actually look at the video and be like, oh, okay, that's what I mean.
Like a master class type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that, our judges would say, they kind of take and implement, and they'll hear from multiple judges throughout the year, depending on how many competitions they go to. And then they come to our nationals, and you can kind of see the evolution of where they've come, which is really, really cool.
Yes.
Yeah. It gets hard because
the whole
there's,
purpose of it.
I don't remember obviously every single dance, because every weekend, we average from like 350 routines to over 1,000 routines in a weekend.
No way.
So it gets a little bit, there's a couple that will always stand out and that you look forward to seeing at nationals. But a lot of them, it's just like, man, I can't remember if I saw that or not, know. But there's some that stick out and you're like, wow, that really changed, and that is awesome how they did.
How do you keep from getting like fatigue? You know what I'm saying? Like as a judge
during the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching 500 plus routines, how do you keep from getting kind of that mental or sensation fatigue? I don't even know the right terminology.
Yeah.
for that.
So as the director, I'm not judging. I get all the score sheets down and I kind of monitor and make sure things. We like to keep things pretty tight. So, sometimes, there'll be one judge that's driving up the score and, you kind of got to talk to them. All right. So you're like 5 points ahead of everybody else. I know that, you felt really strongly about this, but, can we tighten this up somewhere? So it's, I constantly, every hour or two, I'm down there checking on them, giving them snacks. We'll give them breaks here and there. They have an hour break when we do awards. We typically will have an hour break, so they get to go and relax, go outside, shake their legs out, stretch. You'll see a lot of these judges. A lot of our judges are from either New York, LA, Chicago, those kinds of places, or Nashville. We have quite a few from Nashville too.
Wow.
So, they're constantly stretching, checking their emails, seeing if they get a call back or whatever, I remember one instance a couple years ago, we had one of our judges, she had gotten a call back for a television show. And so she had started judging for us. And then she had to leave because she had to go get a costume fitting for this gig that she got. And she didn't know about it until the last minute, until she was actually with us. So she judged for like half a day and then she had to fly out. So then, we typically on our staff will have folks that have been in the dance industry for a while. Either they're teaching at a studio or, they've danced professionally and they're just kind of working on staff with us. So, we'll have them kind of jump in. Like I'll jump in if we have something like that happen. I'm usually kind of a last resort because I have so many other duties that I need to do.
Sure.
But I can jump in. I've judged my whole life, and so it's no big deal to me. But I'd rather have someone that's like kind of in the profession, professionally dancing right now do it. So, but yeah, the fatigue thing, they do get tired, like, but it's always, you're seeing something fresh every time. So it's like, you get a little bit monotonous and you're like, oh, I got to come up with different words to say. I feel like I keep saying the same thing, know, and so I got to get creative with my words. We have one judge that is very very literate in dance terminology. So he'll start busting out like a lot of this dance terminology that you maybe don't hear on a regular basis. And so it's kind of fun to listen to his critiques because he's like super analytical and very, has this literature, this dance literature that you're like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. It's an education in itself.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
They, there's little things that they try and do to, make, so they don't get fatigued, they'll stand up here and there, and we have little back rests for them. I mean, we try and do the best, but it's a long time sitting there watching dance routines.
I can't even believe you can get that many routines in a weekend.
Yeah, we typically will work. I'll fly in on a Friday and I'll get there like at noon or 1. And then we'll go that day until maybe 10 o'clock that night. And then Saturday we'll start at 6 a.m. And we'll go to like 10:30 that night. Sunday, same thing. So, you're getting, close to 30 to 35 hours in the weekend.
Holy smokes.
Which is crazy. Yeah. But it's fun. And, the time goes by.
I'm sure it flies by.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And it's great. You get exhausted, but your body gets used to it as you get on the road more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Wow. So how many competitions are you doing a year then?
I will personally, our competition does, I think, 15, and I probably do about 10 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so 10 weekends out of your year is used up via dance competitions.
Yeah.
And then every other weekend after that is used for weddings.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Yeah. Last year was crazy with weddings. I did like 22, I think 21 or 22 weddings last year. It was the most I'd ever done. I think, you and I, we did a video. I think we started getting some, interest that way.
Yeah.
And then I had a marketing guy at my hospital. I work for a hospital. He kind of, took me on and created a website and got me on Google and got me, we started getting all of our clients to send in Google reviews. And so it just kind of like blew up. And I was like, whoa, a lot of people are like, well, did you, is this just from the overflow from 2020 when people couldn't have weddings? And I'm like, well, I think in 2020 I did maybe 5 to 7. I still did a fair amount.
Yeah.
I used to only do like maybe 10 a season, if that. It was just for people I knew, and someone would send a referral. I never really pursued it or advertised or marketed, and I really don't now. I'm just on the web, and you Google search DJs here and you'll find me. And so
yeah, I think in 2020 I did 2
weddings. Yeah,
2 weddings. Yeah, one ended up kind of changing its whole day to like a backyard party.
Oh, okay.
And then
I think we did one together in 2020.
October of 2020, we ended up doing one.
You're crazy how you remember all these specific dates and everything. I can't remember. I'm like, well, I see someone out there and, I feel bad. They look familiar to me, but I'm like, did I do a wedding for them, or did we go to school together? Or, that's like typical Grand Junction. You're like, did we go to school together? I had a girl yesterday ask me that. She's like, you look really familiar, like in my office in Fruta. And I'm like, well, and so then we started to try and piece things, and ended up being we went to Holy Family together.
Whoa, and that, okay.
I'm like, well, I looked like a little bit different back then. I had hair. And
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm really good with faces. Like, I can see faces really well.
Yeah.
I see someone and I'm like, man, I know I've seen you from somewhere. We've had a conversation, and it could just be something in passing, like at a party.
Yeah.
I meet someone, and then maybe 2 or 3 years later, I'll be like, we met before.
And you know where it was?
It takes me a while.
Okay.
But, and the other thing too, it's kind of a curse because it will completely consume me.
Oh.
Until I figure it out. Maybe it's a pride thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's awesome. I wish I had that mentality, that memory. Like, you know, I went into Target a couple years ago, and this girl, she came up and said hi to me, and I'm like, remind me your name again. And she's like, you did our wedding like a couple months ago. And I'm like, oh, you feel really bad. You know, I'm like, I knew she looked familiar.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh boy, you know, so it haunts me, you know, when people do that. I gotta be like, oh, hey, you know, and just kind of roll with it. And then afterwards I'm like, okay, where did I know her from? I
have got a little bit of an upper hand on you, because after the wedding, then I stare at their faces for about 40 hours after that.
Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. That would help.
Yeah,
that would help tremendously.
That's definitely imprinted in my brain, right? As far as like where I've seen them. So it's a lot of times I don't necessarily remember the name of people, but I definitely.
But the face. Yeah.
I'll see the face.
You're like,
for
hey,
sure.
I think I did their wedding potentially.
Yeah. So how many weddings do you have on the books right now?
I want to say, including a Christmas party, I want to say 11.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Maybe 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the emails keep coming in though, and I literally, so I've had to turn away so many people this year because I'm already booked.
Yeah.
It's interesting how, and I don't know how the wedding industry goes, but like there is always one year a date that is just like everybody wants this date.
Yes.
You know, and you're like, man, what is the deal with this date? But everybody has a fixation on this one date for some reason. Like this year it's I think it was June 4th or 11th or something like that. I've had like 5 requests for that date, and I've been booked out for that date since last year.
I think it's because people are finally kind of realizing this, but they're trying to get their wedding in before it gets too hot.
Yeah.
And because there for a while, it seemed like all weddings were in July and August.
Yeah.
All of weddings were.
Yep.
And now those months are really thinned out.
Yeah, so it's interesting. The wedding season has kind of expanded a little bit longer.
Yes.
Like I have one in April, and then I go all the way through October. I may have one in November, but it's crazy. It used to be like literally like 3 months.
Yep.
And then, you know, nothing.
Yep.
Right. And this, again, you know, this for me, this is a side hustle, you know, and the only, you know, I've been doing weddings about the same time that I've been doing dance competitions. But again, it's for me, it's a passion. I love people. I love being able to help people and being able to be a positive influence in people's lives, and being able to help people out on a special day like this. And, you know, hopefully I can keep the run going, you know, hopefully I don't become the old DJ guy that no one wants, you know, and I'll be cool with it. You know, I'd be like, I had a good run. You know, it's been over 20 years now since I've been doing weddings. So, you know,
well, I mean,
it's weird to say that.
And I'm not trying to like dig at anybody, but I just don't see very many up and coming DJs.
Yeah, it's,
you know, and
I think last year when I had all those weddings, you know, I would try to refer to someone, but then they weren't doing it anymore. And so it got to be like, I think there was only like 3 or 4 of us that were doing weddings, and it was so almost a little overwhelming. And you're like, man, there needs to be some, you know, and I think it you know, I followed under, you know, someone who had a great concept and who had great philosophy, and I've kept a lot of the things that I learned back then. But you can't just come out. What's that?
Shout out
to Landon Balding.
Yep.
But I think, like, you know, I would be open to taking someone on to be able to kind of keep the legacy of John Kelley DJ services going. But, you know, I haven't been approached. And so I don't, you know, I'm not actively trying to recruit anybody or anything, but, you know, it'd be nice to be able to train someone. And the way I feel like weddings go pretty smoothly when I do them. And, I feel like I do a good job. And it'd be nice to have someone kind of be able to kind of learn what I do. I think there's, one company, maybe two, that are doing that same kind of concept, which is cool, which is great. I wish them much success.
Sure. Yeah.
But
gosh, man, like there aren't very many.
Yeah. It's not like photographers.
Oh gosh.
I think there's a photographer. It's just like churches. I think there's a church on every corner. I think photographers too. There's a ton of photographers. Like every wedding I went to last year, I don't think I worked with the same photographer. Maybe one time I worked with the same one.
That's crazy.
Well, I think maybe we maybe did 2 together last year.
I bet we did 2 or 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Well, it just depends, because if I was just there with my photo booth too.
Yeah, you might have been.
It was probably 6 or 7 at that point.
Yeah.
But if I was just doing photography, 2 or 3 maybe.
So it's just super interesting. Like, it's every weekend I'm meeting someone new, and I'm like, where are you from? And,
right.
It's like, how did people find you? And, that kind of thing. So I feel bad for you guys. It's really cutthroat, whereas us, there's like barely any of us to go around for DJing.
But there's still that high percentage of people who are still hiring, for at least for photography, who are still hiring that relative or that personal friend.
Yep. Yeah, I had that happen a couple times. The person, it was a friend, she ended up not showing up, but I think it was 5 minutes after the ceremony had started, so they didn't get anything done. And keep in mind, this was a remote wedding. It was up in the mountains.
Okay.
But she claimed she got lost.
Oh, geez.
But what a stressful. And then they had some other teenager who was starting to get into photography. Mm-hmm. She started filling in and just started taking pictures. It's kind of weird. You felt bad. You're like, oh my gosh, you just paid a lot of money to this person and they didn't show up on you.
Oof.
Yeah.
Gosh.
That doesn't go over well sometimes.
No. Especially in a remote wedding too, because it's not like someone could run home real quick and at least grab their camera.
Right. So how long have you all been married?
This July we'll be celebrating 19 years.
July, what's the date?
Oh, 5th.
Oh, 5th. Ours is July 1st.
Okay.
So we got married July 1st, 2000. That's pretty easy. I was going to say 2020. I was like, no, wait. No, July 1st, 2000.
Yeah.
So it's an easy date to remember.
That is an easy date to remember. I wouldn't advise anybody to get married on a holiday weekend, but we did for some reason.
Yeah. So I think July 1st was a Saturday, and so the 4th must have been like a Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
So it didn't really play into it, except for that weekend people were taking off for July 4th.
Right.
And so we had a lot of out-of-town guests and things like that. It was easy for them to
maybe that's what maybe that was our thought process in it, is so July 4th was on a Friday.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I remember having like a big barbecue out at Lincoln Park. The song that you walk out to,
mm-hmm.
I now pronounce you Mr. and Mrs.,
yep.
and then everybody's clapping, and then there's that cue, right? The music cue of whatever song that is that they want, right?
Exactly.
And I remember the pastor, he was my pastor at the time, Mike. He was doing his closing prayer for us, and out of the blue, I don't know why, but the sound crew at the church pushed play.
Oh no!
And started blaring this song that right in the middle of the prayer,
Oh my goodness!
Was kind of, and it's funny too, because we're music geeks, and so I had queued up the song so that right when they played it, it was actually "Beautiful Day" by U2.
Oh, okay.
And so I'd queued it up so that it'd be right when they push play, it'd be like, "It's a beautiful day," and then we'd go, right?
Yeah.
And so that happened in the middle of the prayer.
Oh my gosh.
And then, so when it came time to, I now pronounce, Mr. and Mrs. Troy Barons or whatever, Troy and Danielle Barons,
it's like on the instrumental section.
Yeah. No, they'd actually turned it off, but it took them forever to turn it off too.
Oh, no way.
It was probably
geez.
like 4 seconds, which is an eternity.
Oh, sure.
Really is
yeah.
actually eternity,
Oh, yeah.
right? Usually when you're like, play, oh crap, like turn
Yeah.
it off with like half a second or something like that. But no, this was, it was like we were kind of like, okay. Anyway, so it was by the, I now pronounce you Troy and Danielle Barons or whatever. Right. And then it was just the song again,
Oh, they started again.
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
Like,
yeah, no, ours was, our first dance song was Say Nothing at All from the show Notting Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And he was playing, I think it was the father-daughter song. So we had like skipped ahead.
Oh.
Yeah. And so Stacy and I were kind of dancing, and I look over at him and I'm like, it's not the right song. And he looks at me and he looks down, and it's like, it seems like an eternity, but it was probably like, 15, 20 seconds. Then he
That's
finally
still a long time though.
And then he finally got the right song on, yeah. So that's one thing, and that I will always make sure that I get correct. I mean, there's things that happen,
Sure.
you get something doesn't go right, but I will always, I always think about that every time I do a wedding. I'm like, I got to make sure I have the right song. Let me double check, triple check, quadruple check,
right. Yeah, that's so tough. It's so tough. And you see it, I see a lot of DJs that are still trying to fine tune that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
technology, we're talking about technology,
mm-hmm.
In the DJ world, we're so reliant, if I go do a destination wedding, or not a destination wedding, but like a remote wedding where there's no service or anything like that, obviously I have everything downloaded to my computer. And so I was doing this wedding, and I had everything downloaded. I had it backed up to my iPad, and then I had it backed up to my phone, right? All the important songs,
right?
So I had it in 3 different areas. Well, and I always check all of my songs before the wedding at the venue, just make sure they're playing okay,
mm-hmm.
whatnot. So I had played the father-daughter dance. It was playing fine before the wedding. Get up to the father-daughter dance. The thing starts playing, and then it stops. It's the music number is still going. So it looks like it's still going, but it's not, there's no audio. It just like completely cut out. And so, you're madly looking, all right, what came unplugged,
right.
Everything was plugged in. It was just a freak thing. So I had to roll. I'm like, all right, guys, so we're having a little technical difficulty with that, but we're going to move to the mother-son dance, and then I'm going to get back to that father-daughter one. So, we did that one, and then they ate dinner, and then, I madly put my headphones in, and I'm like, it's playing. I don't get it. What happened? It was just a freak, weird technology thing.
Glitch in the
After
matrix.
dinner, we got it back, and it played it, and it was fine. It was just technology. It's not like when I first started DJing, it was with tapes.
Yeah.
So someone comes up and requests a song, and you're like, okay, give me about a half hour or an hour. I'm going to fumble through my tapes, and then I get my pencil, and I got to fast forward,
Oh.
Yeah, it was. And then CDs,
man.
CDs were a little bit easier.
Yep.
At
least you could jump track to track.
You could jump
easy.
tracks a lot easier. But
Although,
nowadays,
do you remember the technology that came out that would jump tracks on tapes? It
was a cue. Was it a cue button or something like that?
I don't know, but I think it could hear the pause between each track, and it would go to it.
Dude, I never saw that technology.
Yeah, it didn't last very long because CDs came out right away.
CDs came right out. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, but it was loading in for a DJ event was much different back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
You had these boxes.
Yep.
Especially with the CDs.
Yeah.
You had these boxes that were huge, right? And then, obviously your speakers weighed a ton back then too.
Oh yeah.
My speakers now are, it's the technology is really cool. Everything's in one unit, and I just carry one unit. It weighs like 25 pounds, 30 pounds.
It's brilliant. So nice.
Yeah, it's
especially
so
as
nice.
we get older.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're younger, you didn't care, right?
Yeah, now I'll just throw it on my back
in.
and I'll just lug it in.
Exactly.
No big deal. But it's I always look back. Like same thing with dance competitions. We up until like 2 years ago, we were still taking CDs. Then we kind of started moving into thumb drives. Everybody would kind of bring a thumb drive, which would be nice. But now they've we had this guy that kind of redid all of our programming and all of our IT stuff. And he has this program where they can go into what we call the director zone. They can upload their music directly into the director zone, and we have the music before the show even starts. And it's all organized. So the guy playing the music and announcing just has to hit up next and boom. And control volume instead of like fumbling around between we used to have 12 to 14 CD cases and you have to label each studio. Sometimes they would just bring you the CDs and you're like, okay,
where's
I gotta
the guy with the thumb drive?
Right?
We need to find him.
So, it get things nowadays are a lot easier for sure when it comes to DJing, dance competitions, things like that.
Oh man. Yeah, things have definitely come a long way.
So let me tell you kind of about the foundation, what I do now.
Do it.
Like my real job.
Sure. Yeah, right.
We talk about all the fun things,
right.
But my real job is actually really fun. So little over 2 years ago, I took on the foundation director role at Family Health West. And we are the hospital that's out in Fruita.
Yep. That is the place.
A lot of people are like, there's a hospital in Fruita? Yes, there is.
Yep.
There is.
Yep.
And so I do all the fundraising and all the events for our hospital. Now, our hospital, we have a plethora of different ancillary services. So like neurology, we have pediatric rehab, we have, an autism group, we have, outpatient therapies, we have, physical medicine and rehab, and so we raise money for all these different ancillary services. And, we hold, our biggest fundraisers, our gala, which we hold in August.
Yeah, it's fun.
We do a golf tournament that's coming up. And so it's just a beautiful position for me because I get to do events, which I love to do events, but I also get to raise money for a good cause, like my hospital, and helping buy new equipment, helping us stay relevant in this ever-changing technology world. So it's awesome. It's just beautiful being able to network and use my relationships and my network that I have to be able to bring groups together to raise money for our hospital. It's just been a great thing. It's awesome. Leadership is great out there. It really, it took me, I worked at the big house, which I call St. Mary's, the big house. I worked there for 10 years and just kind of worked my way up. They created lots of different positions for me, which was really cool. But I was kind of at where I could go.
Right.
And moved into a couple different sectors, but nothing really kind of fit right. And then I applied for this, I didn't, some people told me I didn't really necessarily qualify for the job, but I was like, I'm going to go for it, And I think that's what, a lot of young people need to understand that, maybe it'll say something in that job description, that maybe turns you off or that says you're not qualified for it. That doesn't mean you still can't go for it. I'm super fortunate, I'm really good with interviewing and really good at, doing that whole process. Doesn't intimidate me, doesn't scare me. But I'm able to, talk about my talents and what I can do and what I can offer, and so they I didn't necessarily qualify for it, but they took me and it was great. It was so awesome,
cool.
And I feel super blessed. And I think it's the perfect position. Last year, we, I think tripled the amount of money we made in 2019. I always compare to 2019 and not 20.
Right. You just got to throw it out with the bathwater, man.
Yeah. So, we did really, really well. And I'm not saying it's all me, but I mean, I come in with new energy. I'm not your typical foundation director. I do things kind of to my own beat, which is great. And I have the privilege to do that. So it's awesome.
The energy that you bring everywhere, I think is your most successful tool, I guess,
attribute.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really cool. I know, just working with you and just being your friend too. Like I really appreciate it. You know, it changes. Like you walk in the room, I've noticed this too. Like you walk in the room and the whole vibe changes. Like people just,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
Thanks, man.
yeah. You bring smiles to people's faces, and probably like when I walk in the room, everybody's like,
Whatever. Not at all.
Like
Not at all.
It's really cool. And I can also say this too. Like anytime you and I are hanging out, you always see someone you know.
You know what's funny is my wife and I have been together for a long time, and the running joke was everywhere we go, oh, you're John Kelly's wife, or she would, someone would see her and she was like, oh,
yeah.
you're John Kelly's wife.
Yep.
Well, now it's the opposite. Now it's like, oh, you're Stacey Kelly's husband, because
Really?
she's so known
Yeah.
at TJ Maxx. Everybody knows her. She's a store manager at TJ Maxx. And so now she knows everybody when we go around. I mean, I still know quite a few people.
Yeah.
It's just from growing up here and that kind of thing. But now it's like it's kind of reversed a little bit. Stacey will know more people when we go out than I do. And they're like, oh, you're Stacey's husband. I'm like, yep, that's me.
Yeah. Oh man. That's funny.
It's just funny how the world kind of turns that way.
Yeah,
So,
that's cool.
good.
Well, man, I don't know how long we've been going, but I guess we can wrap it up. I don't want to take up too much of your day either, but gosh, man, thanks for coming and being a part of kind of this launch. I'm trying to get maybe 4 to 6 recordings under my belt, and then I'm going to do the launch. Like I want to make sure I have enough content to kind of do a launch. And so thank you very much, man.
No, awesome. Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah. It's always fun, chatting with. This is my first time doing something like this, so it's cool. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I could talk all day long. Yeah,
I know. Me too. And I guess that's why I'm doing this. Because I like to relate with people. I like to relationship, I guess, with people. And
sure.
And this is just kind of a niche that I'm hoping to be able to land and.
Hopefully what we talked about was interesting.
I know, right? It's like 5 minutes in, everybody just tunes out.
Tunes
over to like Joe Rogan or something.
Troy Barron's the next Joe Rogan.
No, not at all. No, but
you're going to be having celebrities in here, and everyone's just going to forget about John Kelly, and you'll have all these big celebrities in here, and I know Troy back when I did the first interview with him. And
yeah. No, I think it'll be interesting because I would, maybe after wedding season, we'll come back and do this. Okay. And we'll talk about wedding season and, and what it was like this year. And, because I think this year will definitely be a better wedding season than the last. Well, obviously 2020 was null and void, but even 2021 was still a little weird too. 2021 was weird because everybody's doing Friday weddings. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, it was very weird. I even did like a Thursday wedding.
Yeah.
So I did a Thursday wedding, and I did several Friday weddings. I think that people, like venues, were booked up, and so they would have to move to a Friday.
Yeah.
I think I may even have done one on a couple Sundays too.
I did a couple Sundays as well. Yeah, it was kind of weird. So anyways, before we get on to that whole other conversation, thanks, man. John Kelly.
My pleasure.
Yep. John Kelly DJ Service. John Kelly Family Health West. John Kelly Dance
Stage 1.
Stage 1 Dance Director.
I wear a lot of hats. I like to stay
hats,
busy.
Man. Yeah, a lot of hats. Cool. Thanks, man. Love you.
Hey, love you too, buddy. Thank you.
Talk to you later.